Dear all monks, all nuns, and all practitioners, for the meditation practice, we always emphasize on the practice. And on the practice, we try to maintain the doubt. We know that we're still trying to give rise to the doubt. Sometimes the doubt come up, but sometimes they're not. So through the explanation, we understand throughout this different discrimination. For the practice, we need to maintain the practice. Try to keep asking the question, repeating, asking the question again and again. So on the practice, this will eventually sweep out our attachments. So on the practice, it will help us to believe in our, and it will help us to practice correctly according to the principle. So when we hear about self-attachment or detach the self, we think that we detach from the self. But actually, most of the time, we're not. So when we're talking about prajna, the prajna will automatically let go of duality. So if we practice with the seeking mind, then the more we practice, we get farther away from prajna. So if we can maintain the doubt, or we cannot maintain the doubt yet, we still try to practice, try to ask the question. If we have a mind, a direction to practice, then eventually we'll be successful. If we have an objective, like a seeking mind, then thinking about let go of the self, but actually we attach to the self. So for us as ordinary beings, we have all kind of obstacles. So because of this obstacles, that's why the enlightened, the Buddha, or the patriarchs, they give us the skillful means to practice. So when we talk about investigating Chan, investigating um, to get to the state of Huatou, if we don't practice correctly, then we're still in the duality. So believing the own and the practice is still in duality. So if we keep practicing, then eventually we'll get into the non-duality. So when we're talking about break through the self-attachment, or this, so the practice will automatically do this for us. We should not have a seeking mind to eradicate the self-attachment. So anytime we have a discrimination thoughts that come into our mind, that is immorality. That is self-attachment. If we have a seeking thought that we want to get, that we want to have doubt in our mind, that is still in duality. So on the conversation, the Dharma talk, instructional talks, or any conversation, any description, explanation, they are in the duality. So we just rely on the understanding on this Dharma talk to understand, to gain knowledge. And without the practice, we never get to the non-duality. We will stay in the duality. So for us as the Chan practitioner, we need to take precaution. We have to be very careful. So that's why the preachers or the good advisors try to explain in a way so that we practice correctly. So our good advisors, because of they try to help us. That's why they try to explain in a way so that we don't get attached to any. So now it's time for question and answer. Namo Sakamoni Buddha. We invite Kim Yim to speak. Namo Sakamoni Buddha. Dear all monks, and the rest of the assembly, dear Master, my mom would like to ask a question. Namo Sakamoni Buddha, dear Master. Lately, so I have this sickness, and I went to the hospital. Can submit to this hospital, and I feel because of the pain, I couldn't keep the practice. I was unable to ask the question. So I have this thought, this life is so impermanent. So I went through all this pain and lying on the bed, and I thought about put the practice take the practice as priority. So I came to a thought of regret. In the past, a lot of times I practice. A lot of times I feel there are times I feel like I have doubt in my mind with the practice. There are times with doubt. So I think that my believing in my own mind is still has a limitation. So can you explain this for me? Or give me advice. For practitioners, we should always keep the practice. Whether we healthy or we not healthy. So the practice keep mentioning, keep the practice at all times. If we see, if we recognize that we not, as we invest in over condition, we still try to go back with the practice. So in our life, we will encounter all kind of situation, circumstances. So because of our habits, we abide the happy moment or the sad moment. So people used to say when we're healthy, they say that we sell our health for money. So then when we get old, we use all of our money to buy the health. So the patients mentioned when we're healthy, if we have the scale of 10 in the practice, but when we're sick, it will go down to 1. So like when we awaken, when we practice to the scale of 10, when we sleep, it will go down to 1. So when we practice, the practice will go against our habits, our attachments from many, many lives, previous lives. So the practice, if we maintain the practice, will stay within inflow thought of inflow, not outflow thought. If we let our mind looking outward, that's mean outflow. It's like we open the eye with all the dust and debris will come into our eyes. That's the knowledge. So the picture or the good no advisor keep mentioning not to abide on form, sound, feeling, smell, taste. We should not dwell on any of this. If we maintain this, then eventually we'll get to the true self, the true mind. If we don't, if we abide or dwell on any of this, then we'll always stay in duality. Now we have limitation. It covers our true self, true mind. Then we will not be able to function from the self, true self. If we can get to true mind, then there will be no limitation on the function, on the capability, on the abilities. So for the practice, we practitioner, we should keep the practice at all times. So eventually we'll get to, when we return, we go back to our true self, true home. So every one of us, every practitioner need to get to this state by keeping the practice. So the practice, we should remember that we should not have a seeking mind. No gain, no attaining, no fear. We should have a mind like a remorseful mind. And so if we don't, then when we're sick, when we're in bad condition, we may not remember the practice. So if we attach to like wealth, fame, and then when we get sick, then we're just thinking about all this, and then we suffer. Because our mind, we keep go after the duality, then we will end up with all kind of suffering. So if we stay in the duality, like because we're not clear about ourselves, who we are, and we have wrong perception, then we will stay in the state of ignorance. So if we can maintain the practice constantly, this will help us. When we get sick, we will not get distracted. So when we in bad condition, then we be able to remember that we need to go back to the practice. Even like if we about to pass away. And if we still remember the practice, that is what he tried to say is good. So when we practice, if we see ourselves that we have progress or that we don't have any progress, that is considered a mind of stealing, which is a discrimination thought. So that's also one thought of ignorance. So when we should not give rise to any thoughts. So for the practice, we just try to maintain, try not to subdue any of the habits that we are having. So just ask the question. This thought will help us in our next life. If we not finish, if we not accomplish the way in this life, we'll continue the next life. So eventually, we'll get enlightenment. We'll get out of the state of ignorance. So if we still feel like we have weakness in our practice, then we need to be more diligent. So when we go back to a healthy condition, then we will be more diligent in the practice. So we should realize that the life is so impermanent. So one breath in without coming out, that's it. And everything will be gone. Even the knowledge, everything that we have in this life, no longer with us. Only the karma, anything that we create. So we need to know the path, which path, the path lead to enlightenment, and the path lead us to ignorance. So learning Buddha Dharma, listening to Buddha Dharma, it will help us. It will improve and strengthen our belief in our own mind and also our practice. So do you understand what I try to say? So she said, thank you so much. I will try my best, try to put in effort. So I really appreciate. Dear Master, my mom would like to ask about inflow and outflow. So can you explain a little bit on this for my mom? So the inflow, the thought of inflow, and the outflow thought. is just a skillful means. If we just keep asking the question, maintain the doubt, we are in the state of inflow. This is, if we go against against our self-attachment, then that is the inflow. We should not create a doubt like an objective, like a guest. So when we get to the apato, where no thoughts arise, the state where no thought arise, so he just tried to say the true prajna has no appearance, no form. So for our practice, the doubt will not get attached to anything on any circumstance that we encounter. It's just naturally because of the doubt, then we will not give rise to any thoughts of discrimination. But this automatically is come out naturally. It's acting upon naturally. So we just give an analogy like 100-foot pole from the wood tail to wood head. Wood tail, wood head. So now on the practice, we're still on the tail, but we'll keep going. Then we'll go to the wood head. That's the hottest. So when we get to the hotter state, it's the woodhead state, that we keep going, keep the practice going. So then eventually we get out of this state. So the example for this is like we get to a state when things go on, no, nothing to grab. So for our practice, it actually let go of sound, appearance, so actually the doubt is actually the prajna of contemplation, because it will not discriminate. It let go of the duality. So even if we try to explain the meaning of inflow, these are explanation. We can explain in many different ways, but it's still in the duality. So because of our habits, in the duality, we always differentiate bad, good, good smell, bad smell. and we stay with the outflow thought. So our practice is like chewing a rotten log. It has no flavor, no taste. But if we keep doing it, then it will leave behind the duality. So we have to have a mind, be diligent in the practice, and relying on the teaching. And then we'll get familiar with the practice, and then we eventually stay in the inflow. Now he mentioned about a verse from one of the Vijat about let go of the go against the what we hear, what we see, what we acknowledge. So we actually leave behind this duality, then we'll enter the state of purity. So if we get into this state, then the quietness or the noise, they don't bother us. They don't distract us. They don't, and we don't. So at the level, if we notice that we are out of this, we need to keep going and let go of this thought as well. So when we get to this, then we actually will totally eradicate the self. So now we practice, we still conscious to practice, but we are on the path to get out. He just gave an analogy about poor and wealthy people. For wealthy people, they have money. They keep wanting more and more. They don't never feel like they have enough. And for the poor people, sometimes they don't have much, but they already they still feel happy about what they have. So like power, having power, sometimes you go up and sometimes you be king, but then you might lose that power and go back to ordinary being. So So when we understand Buddha Dharma, we don't have the desire for any of this power or wealth or anything. So we need to practice correctly according to the principle, and we stay with the inflow, and by that just ask the question and maintain the doubt. So do you understand what I try to say? Thank you so much for your advice. Now the time is up. Thank you. Namo Sakamani Buddha.